in the recording, starting from here. Okay. And here is the adjusted. Oh, come on, Photoshop, please. There's the adjusted. Fine. That's the other portrait. Okay, so we want to do the same thing. I'm going to be drawing you. Oh, so when you're drawing yourself, and I'll do this in the demo, you want to set the light up on your face so that you get, like, for instance, in the screen down there. Get the light on the side of your face in such a way that you can find a shape like right here on their cheek that stays the same. I mean, that you can easily find that spot again by rotating your head until it lines up. That will help a lot with being able to move your head and still get back into position to draw yourself. Okay. I can't see your whole head, which is sad. I'm going to draw it smaller than that anyway. And I don't mind if you do charcoal or graphite. You can use whatever you want. But I always, whenever I do a portrait of anyone, I always start out just with the basic proportions, the standard issue proportions that we've been studying all along. Now, the head's turned slightly at a 3/4, which is good. So you want to make sure that your midline on your face is going to be at that same slight. That will help you keep getting, the eyes swacked over and stuff like that. If your head is tilted down or tilted up, you want to make that line that represents the eye line at the same angle. So imagine that your head is like a planet, and here's the North Pole, and then the South Pole is there, and this is the equator. So your eyes are on the equator. This is the top of the head, this is the bottom of the head. So you can extrapolate from there. So if the planet is tilting upwards, there's the North Pole, and here's the South Pole, then your equator, or the eyes, are going to be there, and then the mouth, and then the longitude is going to go like from pole to pole. So think about the sphere. Think about that's so important. Think about the volume. Your head is not flat. Your face isn't flat either. And another interesting thing to note is that when you draw a human head, you can draw it sort of like an egg shape for the cranium, and then you drop the skull, the face off. It's like a face plate off the front. And then you tuck it in for the chin, bring it up to halfway. That's where the ear is, right there at the jawline. This is from the side, of course, but halfway between the head, the crown of the head, and the chin are the eyes. And from the side, they make a V shape. Then you have the eyebrow is above that, and the bridge of the nose goes right at the eyes. The nose is always halfway or thereabouts, close enough. And then the mouth, and then the chin. So it varies little from that layout. So from the front, you're going to have this, but think about, okay, the head, this is the cranium, and then the jaw is going to come forward, right? Forward. That's always going to be like this and this, and then this. So you can just go ahead and lay in your basic proportions based on the standard numbers. And don't forget to give them enough stuff in the back of the head. Don't skull chop. People always make that back of the head too small. Your face only takes up like this much of your head. If you think about it, that's not much. This really is all your face takes up. So you can imagine, I think one of the students did one with it looked like a helmet. It was kind of cool, like a Superman helmet or whatever. So that might help keep you aware of the fact that our face really only takes up a small portion of our head. That's why people draw their eyes too high generally, because they don't think about all that. Okay. So then based on what I've got here, and I can still cite it, and you cite yourself, measure from the chin to the eye and from the eye to the top of the head, and dang it, if it isn't right in the middle, always is, even when it doesn't look like it, even with hair that's poofed up. Get the hair poofed up. So So here's the hairline, the eyes, and the eyebrows are above the eye line. So you still want to gesture draw out all your features, then check. Sorry, I can't talk and draw at the same time. And then check your sighting to make sure that you've got all the proportions accurate to what you see. So everything that you've been doing up to this point, although it's like only been 3 weeks, and I know that it's not enough time to learn, how to do any of this stuff. But you're technically what you're doing is applying all the same. Okay, so see how close the eye is to the bridge of the nose. Just visually. If you're not sure, then get up there and measure it. Measure. Sight yourself. You should have an eyeball between your eyeballs. If your head is turned and you're really close to yourself when you're drawing, then you might find that one eye appears slightly larger, and the closer eye will appear slightly larger because things in perspective, things moving away from you get smaller, appear visually smaller. Things moving close to you appear to get bigger. Now, here's a cool part. This is where figure drawing gets really exciting. I'll do it with a darker pencil so you can see it a little bit better. Here's the skull. Here is the brow bone. And that comes up in front of the cheekbone. So you can feel this on your own head if you have to. While you're looking at yourself drawing, think about what's in front and what's behind. So the brow bone is in front of the side of the face here, and then the cheekbone comes round here. And then this mass of muscle in the lower part of the cheek is actually in front. And you can see that. If you look really closely, you can kind of see or maybe even hallucinate that there's an overlap, a slight overlap there. There's a slight overlap there. Do you see that overlap in there, you guys? Maybe I'm just hallucinating, but hopefully you guys see that too. So it looks to me like your mouth is halfway between your nose and your chin. Nope, it isn't. It's a third. Well, Albie, gosh darn. I measure from the middle of the mouth. So a third down. It really is a third down. The nose is here. The mouth is going to come center under the nose, and if your head is turned, it's going to be foreshortened. So the mouth is going to go here. Third, third, third. Now remember you're looking at yourself in perspective. So the far side of the mouth is going to be smaller, shorter this way than the near side. But I'm only drawing these outlines in to get my marks established. I'm going to get rid of them because you never draw lines around features of the face ever. It just doesn't look right. It gets weird. So the chin comes in front of the bottom part of the face. It's kind of squared off, and you got a little bit of a cleft there. So that's going to also overlap. There goes the jawline. Okay, now what I'm going to do is should go back and check it. I might need to make your nose bigger. Noses are hard, probably the hardest things, because they're just objects that jut out from your face. But if you break it up into geometric forms, you think about the nose being a structure that is sitting on the face as a structure jutting off the face, right? Feedback helps. So I know that you guys are getting what I'm saying. If you're not getting what I'm saying, then say something. Okay. Notice the lips are awesome because and you've got great lips, man. These are just beautiful. But seriously, because you know why? I'll tell you why. There's no outline around your lips, right? I'm actually gonna move my camera up a little closer so that because I'm drawing kind of small, so I don't have to draw as much. So let me just move this up a little closer. Oh, that's further. Doggone it. Let's go here, go here, go here, and then go here, like that, like that. There we go. It might break it up a little bit, but it's a little closer. Oh, there you are again. I'll put you over here. I'll put this over here. So actually on the recording, you won't be able to see the original drawing. You'll only see what I'm drawing. Okay. Notice that the bottom eyelid is pretty flat most of the time. If you think about the eyeball, one of my favorite things to do is draw eyeballs. They're round and they have a little glass dome on one side. So looking from the side, here's the glass dome, here's the flat iris. There's the eyeball is pretty big behind inside that. And the bone comes down, and then there's flesh and fat and muscles all around the eyeball to cushion it. And then the bone comes out underneath, right? So this is a cup holding the eyeball. And then the skin goes overlapping that. And the skin has thickness. So you think about the skin being overlapping your eyeball and jutting out a little bit. So it's not a line, it's actually a change of plane. So when you draw the eyeball, look and see, I can't look at it with the other drawing there. That's making me crazy. Hide Photoshop. See how this overlaps here? The upper brow overlaps, and then the skin wraps around the eyeball. So it should curve around the eyeball to the back. And the upper lid overlaps the bottom lid. So the bottom lid is actually underneath. Don't draw that in too hard because you want to get rid of that line. It's just a change of plane and a slight change of value. The eyes are almost like defined by the lid above and below. Some people you can't even really see that bottom lid at all, but I can see the eyeball curving away into the head. So we can shadow that in, a little bit of shadow there. Now the light's coming from here, which is good. And you've got a highlight sitting, because imagine this is a glass, like a casserole dish, right? It's got a little lid on the top of it, and the casserole dish is solid, like this. So the light comes down and it makes a highlight on the glass here, but it casts a shadow in here, underneath, inside. So that's what's happening here is the highlight on the eye always ends up in the darkest part of the eye, over the pupil and over the shadow that the eyelid is casting onto the eyeball. So you want to make this darker under the highlight, and then it gets gradually lighter. The light comes through and lights up the far side of the iris, and you can see that. You see how that highlight is really bright right there, right in the shadow. And this comes up like a little golden ring. These funny little observations of things close up can make, after a while, it won't take long before you forget that you're drawing yourself and you're just observing the turn of the form and how things are. This is in shadow. See that shadow on that eyelid? So I'll shadow that in there. And then there's a shadow here. So I'm not doing lines. Don't do lines around your face, your eyes, or anything. This sort of looks like a line because there's eyelashes there. And this sort of looks like a line because it's a deep, deep shadow because it's a fold. So around the nose, it's just a value. So all that stuff that you learned doing values on the sphere, you want to incorporate into this. You don't want to have any hard lines. You just want to have edges and values. So this is a shadow in the nose. The nose is cool because it's like cartilage and it wraps around and tucks under. So think about that being almost like a conch shell. Here's the shadow, and nose is casting a shadow. And you can see, if you can get this little bit of reflected light under the tip of the nose, and you see you've got a highlight right there. So that's good. I think I made your nose too short, but I'm kind of in a hurry. So, and on this side, it's going to be much darker, so I need to go with a softer pencil. And it's really a good idea to try to work over the whole face pretty evenly. I didn't actually mark in the shadows. You want to mark in where the shadow are. There's a shadow here, goes around the nose like so, goes down around there, and then shadows here, shadow here, shadow here. So you, just like we did with the second still life drawing where you're marking in all your shadows, you want to do that with the face as well. So you get those all marked in. And you can even go ahead and that will help you see if you've got your shapes correct. What, cat? I didn't do anything. Kitty Cam. Notice there's a core shadow on the nose, just like there was on the sphere. So that's a soft form shadow that curves around the curve of the nose, curves down. And this reflected light in here, and an overlap. And you can see a little bit of an overlap of the other nostril in the background. Tuck it in. I'm not going to draw the far eye right now. I'm just going to do the shadow. But we have the darkest shadow here, which is almost hidden from the light. And then it gets lighter as a reflected light, and then there's the core shadow here. And there's a little bit of a combination of a core shadow here and a cast shadow from the brow. So look for those places where there's an alternating core shadow, cast shadow, and utilize that softness of the core shadows to offset the hardness of the cast shadow, and it will make things seem more 3D. I'm not happy drawing in graphite because it takes too long to fill. Graphite drawings just take a long time. Okay, so eyebrows are a little, they're not as bushy as one would think. You can do it just with the lines. I mean, you really don't see individual hairs all that much, but it's not a solid tone either. So keep the eyebrows kind of soft. There's a highlight on the cheek, a little bit of a shadow here, a little bit of a shadow here. There's a shadow here on the full trim. So really all I'm doing when I'm drawing faces, I'm looking for highlights and shadows to define the form. So with the lips, the middle of the lip in the front on the top overlaps the bottom lip. And then the bottom lip comes forward and overlaps the top lip. And then it curls back into the corner of the mouth and the top lip overlaps the bottom again. So it's this, if you think about it from looking at it from above, the lips are going like this. If we're looking through the top of the head. So finding those angles, this side is shadowed, but this side gets a little bit of light. It gets a little lighter over here, but it's mostly shadowed under here. So it's just going back and forth with your values. There's a little, you've got like a cleft lip almost. It's like a little shadow here, and then it lights up again. And there's a cast shadow there, and a shadow here, And that just fades right into the skin. You can't see, there's no line there. So if you're not sure if what you think you're seeing is a change of color and not a change of value, color is kind of evil. It kind of tricks you. You want to keep looking for the values. Change of value here. And then shadow here. And the shadow here. And get a little bit, you want to be super careful of any lines you put around the mouth because too many lines makes a person look old. And they really don't stand out as much as that. It's really just a touch of value. I can see a change of value here too. I can't see the ear, but see the jaw comes out and then the chin overlaps the jaw. So we don't want to have a line there though. So once you get your shape established, you want to go in there and get rid of the line as much as you can because you're really looking for value. I'm assuming your ear is somewhere about here. It usually lines up with the eyebrow. And then the head is back here. You can also see underneath the neck, see where the shadow comes out from under the neck? That you want to not think about what you think you know, but rather pay more attention to what you're actually seeing. So where this line intersects the t-shirt, it's usually not in the place we think it is. So I see a cast shadow here, and I see a core shadow here. So this is a soft shadow. And this is a sharp shadow right here. Playing with those sharp versus soft shadows. And I don't draw beards. I don't do it very well. Slight beard or whatever, I find it impossible. So I don't even go there. So you can if you want to. But the overlaps of where the bone structures overlap each other in space, that's really important to learn. I don't know. I wouldn't say this looks all that much like you because I'm working kind of fast and talking, and that makes it really hard. But see how I didn't put an outline around the mouth? And there's no, when you squint at it, the line that you think you see between the lip and the cheek here goes away because it's the same value. It's just a different color. But color is not what we're working with. We're only working with, you might put a little bit of more of a shadow on the top part because you can see there's a little ledge around the lip. And everybody's lips are different. So, does that help? Okay. All right, cool.